Well, good evening, everyone. We're going to get started, and then if others join us as we proceed, then that's absolutely fine. You are very welcome to be in this space this evening, this space to be. My name is Luke. I'm the Executive Director of OneBodyOneFaith, and we are part of what is Space to Be. You'll see on your screen that this evening is hosted by a number of groups: Diverse Church, House of Rainbow, OneBodyOneFaith, Open Table, Quest, and 223. And throughout this evening, you will hear different contributions from some, not all, but some of those groups. But we all came together at the beginning of lockdown 1, all those many months ago, to share and to find a space to be together in what has, in many ways, and for many people, been a really difficult and troubling time. So this evening is just your opportunity to be. There'll be ways of engaging and reflecting. There'll be material of different sorts to connect with. And there'll be opportunities to chat in the chat box as we proceed, as well as towards the end, and Sarah has either shared or will share details of that, of how we can share in fellowship later on if you wanted to join a separate link to have your video and microphone on as well. So that's me, so I'll skip that bit now. Our first contribution this evening, although not directly from Jade and from Diverse Church, is a recommendation from Jade, which we're very grateful for. And it's from a group called The Many, which some of you might be familiar with. And it's just a video, a piece of music to set the tone for this evening.
There's so much sorrow here, so much shame and hurt and fear, and this grief feels like the ache is never ending. The night is long, can't find sleep. Where's peace gone? It's so hard to breathe. It's time to dream fierce dreams, like Mary did. Brave dreams, like Joseph did. New dreams, like Jesus did. 'Cause those who dream change everything. Those who dream change everything. Have the words to pray, no comfort, no joy today. Where is love? We long to see a new beginning. The night is long, can't find sleep. Where's peace gone? It's so hard to breathe. It's time to dream fierce dreams, like Mary did. Brave dreams, like Joseph did. New dreams, like Jesus did. 'Cause those who dream change everything. Those who dream change everything. Seeds grow in the dark. Hope's born in the dark. Dreams start in the dark. So don't give up. Don't give up. It's time to live fierce dreams, like Mary did. Brave dreams, like Joseph did. New dreams, like Jesus did. 'Cause those who dream change everything. Those who dream
As you saw at the end, that was a video from The Many, and you can find more of their music. They're a justice-oriented group in the US and are specifically LGBTQ plus affirming, so you can find out more about them online. Welcome to those who have joined us since we got started earlier in the evening, a few minutes ago. This evening, we are hearing from different voices, as we always do, and we are also considering that we started Advent. What day are we? Yesterday. As we approach the Christmas season, you'll see behind me, I've got one of my Advent calendars. I've counted this year. There are 7 ways, it's the Father Christmas. There are 7 ways to count Advent in my flat this year, which is a considerable increase on last year. So I wonder how many I'm going to get to next year. And if you're looking for a way to engage with Advent differently this year, then you can head on over to onebodyonefaith.org.uk/rhythm, where there are contributions from across the LGBTQ plus community and from our allies reflecting on Advent. It's an entirely free series, and you can download that and use it to guide your reflections each day until Christmas Eve. So do take advantage of that if that would be useful. It's also World AIDS Day tomorrow, and we wanted to mark that this evening. And we're really delighted that Father Arnold, who is an associate of House of Rainbow in Zimbabwe, is able to share a reflection thanks to the wonders of the internet. So here are a few words from Father Arnold.
Hi everyone, I am Arnold Ngulube, an Anglican priest in the Diocese of Matabeleland in Bulawayo, Zimbabwe. As we commemorate World AIDS Day, where so many people worldwide have been affected or infected, it is important to take time of sober reflection on the journey that we have traveled as a human community. However, inasmuch as there are so many joys for us to take out from medical science, from medication that one who is HIV positive can take and be able to live a better quality of life. There are so many individuals all over the world who still face so many levels of fear and discrimination. Where there's so much hope in the world, there's still so much darkness, hate, and hurt. This year, 2020, has been a year of many challenges for a lot of people worldwide. But what we can take out of the pandemic of COVID-19, what we can celebrate furthermore as people who have encountered people who are living positively, is that there's so much positivity within the human fabric. 2020 has shown that there's so much love that can be expressed and shared. And as we commemorate World AIDS Day, my prayer and joy for us all over the world is that the love and the strength that we have exuded throughout 2020, we use and express that joy and love as we commemorate those who are living positively, as we remember those who have passed, but as we encourage each other and support each other, that there's so much more beauty that is yet to come. The star will never set for so many people who are living positively, but the star for them will shine brightly as ever. Churches, I encourage that as we commemorate World AIDS Day, may we encourage our fellow parishioners who may have fear, who may stigmatize those who are living positively. May us as religious leaders bring healing, hope in all our communities. I'd like to end my message today with a poem that was written by James Thompson. The poem reads, "Let the voice ring out over the earth, through all the grief and strife, with the golden joy in a silver mirth. Thank God for life. Let my voice swell out throughout the great abyss, to the azure dome above, with a chord of faith in the harp of bliss. Thank God for love. Let my voice thrill out beneath and above, and the whole world through. Oh, my love and my life. Oh, my love and my life. Thank God for you. Happy World AIDS Day.
With thanks to Father Arnold and to G-Day, who many of us know as well, for making the connection and for introducing us to Father Arnold, and for the continued support and great work of House of Rainbow. It's now my pleasure to introduce Lisa Jane, that perhaps many of you may know. On the screen, you'll see it says 223 above her name. Well, as we were discussing before we went live this evening, Lisa Jane actually has many hats, many badges to wear. She's also a trustee of OneBodyOneFaith, and I know the list goes on and on. So we're really grateful that Lisa Jane is able to be with us this evening and to share. So Lisa, it's over to you.
Thank you so much. It's lovely to be here. I'm kind of sad I haven't made it along to any of the Space to Be events so far this year. It's been quite a busy year for me, I have to say. Although the world has gone slightly mad, my year has gotten incredibly busy. Okay, this evening, I want us to have a little think about something that I think is really important this Advent. I'm going to start with a passage from the Bible, and one that is so familiar that it may actually be one of those ones that makes you roll your eyes. It's Mark 12, 30 to 31, and if that reference made you roll your eyes, I get it. It's so familiar. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your mind, and with all your strength. The second is this: love your neighbour as yourself. There is no commandment greater than these. Like I said, a really familiar passage, but just in case you think I'm going to preach at you for a few minutes about how to love your neighbour better this Advent, no, I'm not. There are 3 commandments of love in this passage, and only 2 that ever really get spoken about and preached on. First is loving God. Second, love for neighbour. But what about the third love expressed in this passage? Love of ourselves. And that is what I want to reflect on this evening. We've probably all heard lots of sermons and talks about how we need to love our neighbour as ourselves. But this is a phrase, a scriptural quote that can be very hard to understand, especially for those of us who spent a long time, in some cases many decades, not loving ourselves. I'd like to focus on that a little and see if we can find a few ways that during this Advent season we can do a bit better at loving ourselves. Self-love is very, very complicated and can be very hard to do. Believe me, I am no expert on this, but I've certainly made a few steps on the journey towards learning how to do it. Those of us in the LGBTIQ world have most likely been brought up to believe somewhere along the line that we're wrong in some way, that we need to be fixed, changed, or heaven forbid, healed. Many of us have dedicated a great deal of time, energy, and sometimes money to try and bring about that change. In a weird twist of things, never really addressed in sermons on the theme of love thy neighbour, I actually think it can be easier to love others than it can be to love ourselves. But let me just pause here. We as LGBTIQ people do not have a monopoly on self-loathing or self-unlove. In fact, I'd hazard a guess that a lot of people wandering around today have some degree of this about them. Whether they were bullied as a child or an adult and excluded from friendship groups or told by teachers that they would never amount to anything, or if social media constantly tells them they're not living their best life, to use an Oprahism, because they don't have the latest makeup palette from Jeffree Star or the latest iPhone 12, 13, 14, whatever number we're up to now. I've lost count. Quite a lot of people are just trying to get through the day and make it to that evening, exhausted, They're really not thinking about what self-love could look and feel like. And many think that that ship has well and truly sailed anyway, and that could never find that journey of discovery towards self-love. Jack Monroe, some of you may know, cook, author, anti-poverty campaigner, and all-round hero of mine, wrote a piece for their blog called "You Don't Batch Cook When You're Suicidal." It was about how when you can see no hope or future, for her, in her case, brought in by poverty, dark thoughts abound, and about how to end your suffering, you don't spend the time or the money preparing for future meals, because you sort of hope that there won't be any future meals. Instead, you spend your money and your time on something that might make you feel a little bit better now. I want to suggest that something similar is at play with our understanding of self-love. We don't necessarily spend time investing in ourselves for the future because we struggle to imagine a future any different to our current reality. Therefore, we don't batch cook our mental well-being and try to do things today that will benefit our tomorrows. We just try to do something, anything today that will make us feel a little bit better today. If you know me, you'll know I'm big into decluttering. And I don't just mean decluttering your homes like KonMari and all that home edit that's new on Netflix at the moment. I'm not talking about that. I'm very much into helping people declutter in a bigger way than that, decluttering lives, decluttering their minds, their diaries, their inboxes, and well, yes, houses too, but we're not specifically talking about that today. When it comes to self-love, there may be some really big things that we have to declutter. We need to sort out the baggage that we carry around with us. It could be that we need to jettison some inwardly held truths, that we are not good enough, not worthy enough, not deserving of love from others, and in turn, then from ourselves. God tells us that we are their own, all of us, the whole package that makes up me and you. God also tells us that we are loved, loved unconditionally, loved wholly, and loved with a love that is everlasting. If we have any ideas and thoughts that run counter to that, then we should probably look at getting rid of them because they are not God's truth. Now, if God loves us in this way, which they do, just to emphasize that again, then we ought to do what we can to work with God and make an attempt at loving ourselves in the same way. In a flip of the scriptures, we should start loving ourselves the way we love others. Let me explain. When we invite someone round to our house, we might buy or make them some nice food. We might bake a nice cake or get some posh tea bags or something. Better than we would probably do for ourselves on an everyday basis, because we want to make them feel loved and special. Now, depending on your age or a few other factors in the way that you were brought up, you might have your everyday plates, glasses and cutlery, and then you have the special ones that you only use at Christmas or on another special occasion. Might I suggest that once or twice you make yourself some nice food, bake a cake just for yourself, make some nice biscuits, treat yourself to a nice meal, and if you have them, serve it on your posh plates, even when it's not a special occasion. Here's another thought, maybe a little deeper. Are there people in your life who are harmful to you? Friends who drain you, who suck the energy out of the room when they enter? Perhaps it's time to take a bit of an inventory of these relationships and figure out if you really need to keep these people around. You see, self-love means that you don't have to keep that negativity around you because you understand that it's harmful to your well-being. It's not easy, I do get that, especially if one or more of those people are your mother or your brother and other close relatives. Even if you can't relinquish those relationships completely, maybe have a think about how you can love yourself better by putting boundaries around those relationships and those interactions and not allowing them to affect you in quite the way that they have done up until now. Something else you might want to consider this Advent season when it comes to understanding a little more about how to love yourself well is your digital world. Now, I am totally into social media. Anyone who knows me knows that. I love Instagram, Facebook, less so Twitter, and I've yet to delve into the world of TikTok. I will do one day, I promise. I can lose myself down YouTube wormholes for hours. And unlike a lot of talks you might hear from church leaders, I'm not really saying any of that's wrong. However, I have tried to limit the effects that this has on my life. I've certainly been down the road of feeling I had to have the latest makeup range that was announced, wanted an iPhone because all the cool people I followed on Instagram had iPhones. I used to find it hard to scroll past the algorithmically perfect adverts, because if I just bought that dress, I'd be happy and I'd look great, and then I would like myself better because I looked better. It doesn't really work like that. But sometimes I do still buy some of that stuff. I bought a rolling pin not that long ago. Here it is. You see, it's got pretty embossed tiles on it for making pretty biscuits, because I thought if I could make some really, really nice biscuits and give them as presents for people, then they might like me more. And if they like me more, then I might like myself more. So one day I might use this rolling pin. I've not used it yet. An element of self-love is the realization that you don't actually need those things in your house. If it's a testament to if your house is a testament to your attempts to try and buy self-love, perhaps this Advent is a time to begin thinking about getting rid of some of it. Now, I'm not saying you need to spend this Advent getting rid of all your stuff, telling your annoying friends to clear off and sipping champagne every night from your poshest glasses. But I am setting a challenge for all of us to have a think about what self-love might mean for us individually, to disconnect the idea of self-love from selfish love, those are very different, and think about what steps we might take to fulfilling that. Because when we truly know and understand how to love and take care of ourselves, then we will be able to love others even better than we do now, and to love God even better than we do now. Thank you, Luke.
Thank you, Lisa Jane, for guiding us through that this evening. I just wanted to say as well, there may be some things that we're touching on this evening for whichever reason, whether it's the reflection on World AIDS Day, whether it's because Advent and Christmas is a difficult time for you, perhaps something that Lisa Jane spoke about, touched something. If you want to talk to anyone, then please do reach out privately in the private chat to any of the kind of people that are talking today, so that you can see in the video panels. I think G-Day's also shared in the chat already that the details of how to get in touch with House of Rainbow. And you can find all of our organizations on the web and on social media as well. So if you need some pastoral care, if you need just someone to listen to, then do reach out and contact us. I'm now going to invite Peter, who amongst many jobs is also the chair of trustees of One Body, One Faith. And Peter is going to guide us in a short time of reflection now. Thank you, Peter.
Thank you, Luke. I'm going to lead us in a short reflection. Thank you, Luke. I'm going to lead us in a short reflection. If you have a candle anywhere near you at home, you might like to light it. If not, then hopefully the one on the screen will act as a focus as we think about what Lisa Jane has said to us, as we reflect on Advent and on World AIDS Day. I'm going to read something and then I'll leave a couple of minutes silence and then I'll finish with a very short sentence. as well. Open our eyes, Lord, especially if they are half shut, because we are tired of looking, or half open because we fear to see too much, or blurry with tears because yesterday and today and tomorrow are filled with the same pain, or contracted because we only look at what we want to see. Open our eyes, Lord, to gently scan the life we lead, the home we have, the world we inhabit, and so to find signs of hope we can fasten on and encourage. Show us the world as in your sight, shot through with possibility for recovery, renewal, redemption. And with all this, open our eyes in yearning for Jesus. Open our eyes on the mountains, in the cities, through the corridors of power and streets of despair, to help, to heal, to care, to confront. O come, Emmanuel.
Thank you, Peter. And we continue now in a reflective vein, and I'll hand over to Kieran from Open Table.
Thank you very much. So I'm the coordinator of the Open Table Network, and today I'm sharing prayers on behalf of Kate from Liverpool. So you can see Kate's photo on the screen there. Unfortunately, Kate's not well enough to join us tonight. So some of the words I'm sharing are hers, which is why I felt it was important that we can see her on the screen. Kate is an ordinand in the Church of England. She's also a mother and grandmother, a poet and a spiritual director. And she's been living with HIV for 25 years. 2 years ago, Kate shared her faith story with the Open Table Liverpool community. She said, "My personal experience in the church was pretty much one of inclusion, but then I flew under the radar in all sorts of ways. I was married and had children, and you wouldn't believe the assumptions people made about my life. They thought I must be straight and that I must be happy, and I was neither. Domestic abuse eventually led me to being divorced, at which point I was told I couldn't receive communion. I began to drift away from the church. Some years later, I didn't just drift, I put on my marching boots, turned my back and left. And what made me go was the message that came out of the church in the late 80s that said, AIDS is a punishment from God. Kate went on to share how she returned to church after attending a carol service hosted by Open Table Liverpool, when she heard the invitation to come as you are. Kate said, "So how do I come? I come as a beloved child of God, made in the image of God. In me, the image of God is a woman. In me, the image of God is a mother, a grandmother, a daughter, a sister, a friend, a poet, a lover. In me, the image of God is pansexual. In me, the image of God is HIV positive. But beyond all the labels, I simply come as I am, a beloved child of God, made in the image of God, just as every one of you is too." And I know Kate's prayer for all of us tonight is that when we may come to believe that with our whole hearts. So I will share a link to the whole of Kate's faith story after these prayers which Kate prepared for us. We gather at the intersectional point when one global pandemic meets another. It's the first World AIDS Day that's occurred since the COVID pandemic began, and the HIV pandemic is not over. 39 years after the first reported case of HIV, infections continue to rise across the globe. This year we have witnessed the tragic effects of COVID on human life, not just of the illness, but of the effects on the economy with job losses, increasing poverty, particularly child poverty, and the numerous other ways we have been affected individually, as a community, and as a church. So today we offer up to God all those who have died of HIV/AIDS in our families, communities, and congregations, all those who have died of COVID, and those who we have lost during this time, whose funerals we have been unable to attend because of the restrictions. I invite you to join in the response to the prayers that follow by saying, "We remember them." In the rising of the sun and in its going down, we remember them. In the blowing of the wind and in the chill of winter, we remember them. In the opening of buds and in the warmth of spring, we remember them. In the blueness of the sky and in the warmth of the summer, we remember them. In the rustling of the leaves and in the beauty of autumn, we remember them. In the beginning of the year and when it ends, we remember them. When we are weary and in need of strength, we remember them. When we are lost and sick at heart, we remember them. When we have joys we yearn to share, we remember them. So long as we live, they too shall live, for they are now a part of us. We remember them. Amen. And I'd like us to invite us to draw all our prayers together, to offer them, spoken and unspoken, to God in Jesus' name, in a modern retelling of the prayer Jesus taught us, written by Jim Cotter, a gay Anglican priest and poet. Eternal Spirit, earth maker, pain bearer, life giver, source of all that is and all that shall be, creator and parent of us all, loving God in whom is heaven, the hallowing of your name echo through the universe. The way of your justice be followed by the peoples of the world. Your heavenly will be done by all created beings. Your commonwealth of peace and freedom sustain our hope and come on earth. With the bread we need for today, feed us. In the hurts we absorb from one another, forgive us. In times of temptation and testing, strengthen us. From trials too great to endure, spare us. From the grip of all that is evil, free us, for you reign in the glory of the power that is love, now and forever. Amen.
And thank you, Kieran, and to Kate as well. Before I hand over to Sarah, who will be getting the final word on this edition of Space to Be, I'll offer a blessing as we close this formal part of our time together. As we go from this place, may you know the love of a parent God who is both mother and father, and yet neither male nor female. May you know the sacrifice of a Redeemer God who was oppressed because of his ethnicity, crushed for his truth, mocked for his humility. May you know the ever-present being of a sustainer God who carries the burden of the world, transforms it through their people, and delights in the beauty of a diverse creation. May you know the blessings of the Creator, Redeemer, and Sustainer, Holy God, three in one. Amen.
Thank you, Luke. So just to, I've put it into the chat a couple of times. So the details are there for our general kind of after Space to Be chat. So if you do have time and you want to join us, we'll probably be there for about kind of 20 to 30 minutes. Obviously only Connect is on tonight, so we're not used to doing this on a Monday, so we may well make sure we do finish by 8 o'clock for those of you who are fans. But it would be really lovely to have you. So if you want to chat and catch up and say hello to people, please do drop into the Zoom. It would be really lovely to have you with us.
Great, thanks, Sarah. I said you had the last word, but I'll actually take that back and take the last word. So yes, do head on over and join us. We're going to leave this running for a couple more minutes and then close this chat down, this link down to open up the next one. So if we suddenly disappear, that's why you know, and you know where to find us. So click on that link in the chat box if you would like to, and hopefully we'll be able to engage with you all very soon.